Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and we're coming at you live a little bit earlier in 5 minutes because the Las Vegas Raiders, they went out and they signed an offensive lineman, but also on today's show, should the Las Vegas Raiders start Jimmy Garoppolo? What's the latest news on Josh Jacobs, Maxx Crosby, some of the injuries that happened yesterday in that Vikings game? As always, if you want to get your questions up here, if you want to react to the Raiders signing DJ Fluker, use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat, and then we are going to do a $10 50-50 raffle at the end of today's show. Now, I would not have been able to do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, PrizePicks. And if anybody out there wants to get started, daily fantasy sports made easy, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Now, with Monday Night Football tonight, it's the perfect night to do it. There's not only one game, there are two games on tonight's slate. And you know what? I decided to look at it, and I'm going to go this. I'm going to go more with Jalen Hyatt at 27.5 receiving yards. DeAndre Hopkins, give me the less on 12.5 fantasy points. I think he's going to struggle a little bit tonight. Jordan Love's been cooking. Give me the more on his passing and rushing yards at 243.5. And then Tua Tagovailoa has been absolutely smoking hot too, with more on the 297.5 passing and rushing yards. So to me, I know that tonight I don't have any Monday plans, and I know what I'm going to end up doing is watching a little football, put some money down, have a chance to win. All you got to do is pick 2+ players, choose more or less, and if anybody likes to play a little fantasy football, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. So here's the big-time question. This was going to be the main focal point of today's show here on the Raiders Report. It was going to be around Aidan O'Connell. It was going to be around Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's probably still going to be the number one thing that we talk about on this show because yesterday, once the Raiders got shut out 3-0, one of the top trending topics was, what do the Raiders do? Do you go back with Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you stick with Aidan O'Connell? I've had now, we'll call it 24 hours to calm down, look at the correct answers, look at all the things from the pros, the cons. I literally made like a list out of notebook paper, and I came out with the answer that I have. What the Raiders should do going forward, whether you go back to Jimmy G or you decide to keep Aidan O'Connell. But hey, you guys let me know down in the comments, and then Chugs, I want to get into the whole news around the Raiders signing DJ Fluker and what it means for this Raiders offensive line. What does it mean for a player like Colton Miller? What does it mean for the entire line in general? Like, are we going to see him out there on Thursday Night Football, quick turnaround? We're going to talk about the Chargers and Justin Herbert. There is a lot to get to because the Raiders are on a short week. So we got almost 400 people here in the building. I see Michael. What's up, my guy? Rusty T wants to roll with Aidan O'Connell. Daniel Cloud, Aidan O'Connell. Ralph, Queen Sarah Otto, roll with AOC. King, I see nothing but AOCs. And then David, he's going to go with Jimmy G. Rebel Montana said we started early. Yes, we started early because the Raiders, they went ahead and they signed an offensive lineman. So coming up here on the show, we're going to get into the latest around the Raiders signing offensive lineman DJ Fluker. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. We got some breaking news here. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed former first-round pick DJ Fluker. Fluker was drafted in the first round back in 2013 with the, San Diego Chargers at the time, was out of Alabama. And to me, this is not all that surprising of a move. We talked about Fluker last week on the show because Fluker worked out with the silver and black, and I said that it could make some sense because of his overall ability to play not only offensive tackle, but probably he's built a little bit more to be a guard at this point at 30+ of age, hasn't really been able to play in the NFL, has been bouncing around on some practice squad teams, and we'll get into everything that you need to know about this signing here with Fluker, but this is exactly why you subscribe to the Raiders Report. I can't promise you if the Raiders are going to score a touchdown in a game. I can't promise you if the Raiders are ever going to be able to make the playoffs, if they're ever going to win a Super Bowl, but here's my promise to the nation. If you're committed to this team, and maybe you're not even committed to the team so much, but you're committed to the nation, I got commitment to excellence. I plan on showing up every single day. It's 365 for a reason. But when breaking news happens, we got you covered here on the Raiders Report. It's easy to talk about news, but how does it actually impact the Raiders? And if you don't like what you see from today's show, hit unsubscribe. You have absolutely nothing to lose. So with the Raiders going out and signing Fluker, he's been posting some videos of him. He's in a lot better shape, and he's been trying to prove that despite really only being on practice squads and has not played in 2022, did not play this season either in 2023, bounced around on a few different practice squads back on 2021. But the reason why Fluker kind of started to get viral, and I can remember we talked about him here at Chat Sports last offseason because of the pro day when he showed up to Alabama. And don't get me wrong, you see a lot of these phenomenal athletes at Alabama, and they're all working out. They're getting ready for the combine. And then there's DJ Fluker who shows up. And when he ended his NFL career, he was probably a little bit too big, and it's why he wanted to get back into shape. But I'll tell you this, right? Like, you see a kid coming out of college, and if you haven't seen the photos, go Google him, DJ Fluker, Alabama Pro Day. It's definitely worth a look at. But when you see a 19, 20-year-old, 21, 22, 23-year-old guy coming out of Alabama, and then you put him next to a 33-year-old DJ Fluker. I mean, Fluker was making these young men look like little boys. So, monster of a dude. For them to go out and sign him, to me, does make it seem like that workout went pretty well. But I also know that the reason why they brought him in and the reason why they're working him out is because of injuries. So we'll talk about some of those players that are injured and why the Raiders decided to sign Fluker this morning. But this is also what the Raiders Report's about here. Yes, we are live right now on this show. We got over 400 people tuned in. But I know that a lot of people aren't going to be able to watch this live, and you're going to watch this on a little bit of a later date. If you don't know what the Raiders Report is about, it is this. It is about interaction. So what I want you to do here is you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down, get your red pen out. Let me know. Grade the signing of DJ Fluker, A, B, C, D, or F. My move, my grade here is going to be a C. It's a okay move considering the fact of where the Raiders are currently at. You're 5-8 on the season. You had a devastating loss to the Minnesota Vikings where you lose 3-0. It was only the second time in the last 30 years that a game has ended in 3-0. And I know that the Raiders' offensive line has been kind of poked at by the nation on social media. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen it on Facebook, which I actually don't think is all that fair. The Raiders' offensive line, by I think all the important metrics that people should look at, are a top 12 offensive line unit. But the reason why this is a C grade to me is I'm not going to expect Fluker to be able to show up and be like a total game changer. No, the reason why you brought in Fluker is because of that versatility. Raiders offensive line coach Carmen Brasilla's got to understand, okay, I got Thayer Munford playing left tackle who was filling in for an injured Colton Miller yesterday against Minnesota. And then because Andre James also, if you guys remember, was battling an injury, they had to kick Dylan Parham in, put him at center, which was kind of like what I thought he was originally drafted to do. Then they had to put Jordan Meredith over there at left guard. You kept Greg Van Roten at right guard. You had Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. And yesterday, the best offensive lineman the Raiders had, and it was not close, was in fact Jermaine Illuminor. So because you've lost some depth, now you add Fluker, who can play interior offensive line, and he can play offensive tackle. It's why the Raiders decided to make the move that they did. We'll continue to break down everything that you need to know around the Raiders signing Fluker. Again, how it impacts whether or not he's going to be playing against the Chargers. But I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our sponsor, PrizePicks. And tonight, man, we got 2 Monday Night Football games, which I'm hella excited about. And hopefully my picks do better today than what they did yesterday. And I'm sorry if anybody took some of my picks. I really thought that the Raiders would, I don't know, maybe score at least 1 touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings. But if you're like, Mitch, I'm going to be sitting around, I'm going to be hanging out, watching a little Monday Night Football. Luckily, I got this on tap for all of y'all. You can go take my picks. You can take your own if you want to get started. Again, PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and you're going to get a $100 deposit match. So again, prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link's going to be available to all of y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So I know tonight my skills, I'm going to be testing them on PrizePicks, and it's why I've had a lot of fun. And sometimes, man, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25%. to provide even more value. So if you didn't like my picks that I had for Monday Night Football, hey, you can go choose your own. If my fiance has a good time doing this, I think you're going to have a good time doing it as well. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. So we're live here on the Raiders Report, breaking down the recent news. This has been confirmed by NFL insider Jordan Schultz. His, connections, if you will, were told by DJ Fluker's agent that he is signing with the Raiders. We don't have the contract details. I mean, if we're just being honest here, the Raiders got 4 games left on their schedule. You got Thursday Night Football up against the Los Angeles Chargers, which maybe it's a little bit of a revenge game for Fluker, right? He can get back, he can get after those guys. Then you got the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas, Week 16. Then you're going to round it out with the Indianapolis Colts, Denver Broncos. And when the Raiders made the announcement that they are signing Fluker, I saw a lot of people, they're like, why even do it? The season's over. What's crazy is, I hear you. Do I think that the Raiders are going to make the playoffs? No, I don't think that. But to me, go tell that to Maxx Crosby. Go tell that to Antonio Pierce. Go tell that to Champ Kelly. Guys that are still going to go out there, and they're going to give it 110%, and that's what I think all Raiders players should do. You're getting paid millions of dollars until that fat lady starts singing, or until your playoff percentages hit 0. You still got to try to go out, make some moves, and make your team better. And I know, it's crazy, but if the Raiders win against the Chargers, Chiefs, Colts, and the Broncos, according to the New York Times, you have a 51% chance to make the playoffs. After watching that Vikings game, 51% winning 4 games sounds pretty good. Now, obviously, if you lose 1 game, you're done. The season is 100% over, and I know some people want the Raiders to win because I enjoy when the Raiders beat division rivals. I don't know about you, but then I also understand if they do win, it hurts your draft stock, and as it stands right now, your draft pick would be at number 8, and if the Giants were able to win tonight, and who else plays tonight? Whoever. It's the Giants and who? Giants, Packers, and if the Titans were able to win, then actually the Raiders would have the number 6 overall pick. Shout out to Chugs for being on top of it. But to me, I know that some people want them to win. I know some people don't want them to win. But to me, the Raiders still have a chance to make the playoffs, which is why this regime went out and they at least made something happen. So yesterday, Colton Miller was unable to go. He's still dealing with that shoulder injury. And Miller missed some time before the Raiders' bye week, was able to tough it out, play against Kansas City. He's just clearly not healthy. And he's a very, very tough player. Like, he has not missed a lot of time throughout the entirety of his career. Really, he's only missed time when he started early in his career as a rookie, but battled through some wicked injuries. And if he's not 100% healthy, I'm not trying to put him in a bad spot because we need him going forward. But the other injury that, to me, we have not got an update on, and one of the biggest reasons why I think that they went ahead and they started looking at Fluker, like, it was Colton Miller was the reason why they brought Fluker in last week. They knew that he was not going to be able to go. He was rolled out on Friday, so that was, well in plan. And Antonio Pierce said today during his press conference that the Raiders already started the plan for the Chargers game on Friday. So with that in mind, then once Andre James went down with an injury, they said, okay, what exactly are we going to do here? With Colton Miller, you're starting left tackle. With Andre James, you're starting center, injured. Now you got to look at these guys on a short week. I don't expect Miller to play. I don't know what's going to happen here with Andre James. We'll get an injury update on him. But to me, right now, if your starting offensive line doesn't have Miller, doesn't have Andre James, I'm going to expect what they ended up rolling with to end out that Vikings game, which was left tackle, probably going to be Thayer Munford. At left guard, Jordan Meredith. At center, Dylan Parham. Right guard, Greg Van Roten. Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. You're also going to keep Justin Herron as a little bit of extra depth. Yesterday, the Raiders also promoted Brandon Parker to the 53-man roster, so he was there. He can play a little bit of swing tackle. They're going to add some extra depth here to this Raiders offensive line. This Thursday Night Football game, I'll tell you that right now, it's going to be an ugly game. It looks like it's going to be Aidan O'Connell up against Easton Stick. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to play. He's still battling an injury. But the offensive line needed a little depth due to the injuries around Colton Miller and due to the injuries around Andre James. That is why the Silver and Black, they went out and they signed former first-round pick out of Alabama, DJ Fluker. So, with all of that injury talk, with the Fluker talk here, what's your confidence level in the Raiders' offensive line as it stands right now? And I want you to scale it from 1 to 100. 1 being Mitch, it's the worst offensive line in the NFL right now. 100, it is the best offensive line in the National Football League. For me personally, if I'm going to base it off of, and I mean only off of me saying that it's going to be Thayer Munford, Jordan Meredith, Dylan Parham, Greg Van Roten, and then Jermaine Illuminor, my grade on that is probably going to be a 50. Like, I don't think that Jordan Meredith should have even made this roster. Then you got some backup guys. Sure, Fluker's an older dude, going to be able to add a little bit of depth here. But realistically, this offensive line has gotten significantly worse due to some of the injuries because your two best offensive linemen this season have, I would probably say, Colton Miller, Andre James. Without those two, could be an interesting game on Thursday Night Football. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you probably already know the news around Fluker. We tweeted it out, and that's why you should follow me on social media. When breaking news happens, I put it out on Twitter, put it out on IG, and then we make a video on it for the extra context. If you're only looking for quick news bits, hey, social media, that's what it's for. If you're looking for more of the why something happened, that's why you should subscribe to the Raiders Report. All right, Chugs, he's going to get that out for all of y'all. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Here's the thing. This is where the show now, I think, is really going to get fun and entertaining. Chugs and I, we worked all morning putting together two really, really fun segments around quarterback discussion, and today's conversation is going to be a lot of debating. So if you guys haven't, or if you're new to the show, if you don't have your keyboard out, if you're not ready to interact with me down in the comments, like, it's time to realize what today's Overreaction Monday show needs to be. Like, yesterday was one of the most frustrating games I think I've ever seen because it was one of the best defensive games I've seen the Raiders play in quite some time. You got some people to really, really, truly step up, but I've been trying to tell you all this for essentially the entire season. We have to find a quarterback next season. I would look at the NFL draft with a lot of talent, and I'll tell you which quarterbacks I would try to target next season. But how about y'all? Let me know down below. Which quarterback do you want the Raiders to draft in 2024? Gary Gum says that he wants to roll with Drake May. We see Jaden Daniels from Cloud. I see a Justin Fields in the chat. We'll talk about what the price is again to trade for Justin Fields. I know some of y'all think it's going to be really, really cheap. I don't think that that's the case. Cloud's going to go Jaden Daniels. NFC Ops going to roll with Jaden Daniels. B. Rabe says Bo Nix. Michael Penix Jr. from Mario Gallardo. Michael says Caleb Williams. Drake May from Ryan Lewis. Justin Fields from Anthony. Jaden Daniels from NF. The good Daniels from Gabriel. And then Martin also is going to roll with Jaden Daniels. I see we got a super chat rolling in here from Rebel Montana. Rebel. Cheers to you, my guy. If we lose the last four, where do we land in the draft? I mean, if the Raiders lose the last four games, you're going to be sitting there at 5-12. They can be as high as the number 4 overall pick. But I would say that if they lose their next 4 games, you're in the 7-4 range. I think that's a pretty safe bet that you're in the 7-4 range. And the way that I see the NFL draft going is the top 3 picks are going to be in some sort of an order of Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., based on the teams that are going to be drafting, based on what I think actually ends up happening. And then after that, there's some good offensive linemen. Jaden Daniels could be pick number 4, depending on how stock goes. If you're at number 7, though, for the Raiders, and you lose those next 4 games, you have the opportunity to go up to number 1, number 2, number 3. You have the opportunity to get your quarterback. You have the ability to get a Drake May, to get a Caleb Williams, to get a Jaden Daniels, because of the players you have on your roster currently that do have a lot of draft capital involved in that. How many games do you think the Raiders win this season, Chugs? I know it's a tough question. How many games do y'all think that the Raiders win?
I think I'm going to have to change it up because I said 10, 6, and 1.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they already have 8 losses.
Yep.
So I'm going to have to go 8-1. They go 3 wins and a tie the rest of the way.
I think it's the game that you're about to see on Thursday night. If the Raiders don't beat the Chargers on Thursday Night Football, they will not win a game the rest of the season. Like, there's no way. If you can't beat Easton Stick, how am I supposed to have any confidence that you're going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and the Broncos, who are playing well? And I get the fact that the Colts are 7-6, but like that's also a run-first team, which is where the Raiders have struggled at times. Like Jonathan Taylor ate them alive last season. So to me, I'm saying at best you're 6-11. 5-12 though is probably where you're ultimately going to end up.
Thank you, Adam.
Somewhere in there. Happy Hanukkah.
Let's go.
So I kind of like this sweater
Come
because
on, baby, light my menorah.
I mean, I feel like it's like if the Raiders were to make a Hanukkah sweater instead of just win, baby, it's
come on, baby.
Exactly. There you go. Yikes. What up, Kent? Will we include Tay in a draft trade? I don't think it's impossible. And if you were to ask me, what is the most realistic scenario for the Raiders to trade all the way up to like number 1 or number 2 or 3 to get their franchise quarterback? I do think Davante Adams is involved. And
don't worry. We were standing strong. Our Bears host was trying to coerce us to give up Maxx Crosby for the first overall pick. We said no. We said no way. No way the Raiders give Maxx Crosby for the first overall pick.
They would want more on top of that, and I know Raider fans wouldn't want that, and I don't think the Raiders move on from Crosby because of Crosby's relationship with Mark Davis. But like Davante Adams, he left the game yesterday very frustrated. He didn't talk to the media.
Well, honestly, if that's the case too, if I'm the Raiders, do you want to give up all that to go up to number 1, or maybe you go to number 2? I mean, you look at the Panthers. They gave up the farm to go up to number 1, and they selected the wrong guy. What if you go up to number 1, you take Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jane Daniels end up being way better?
I get your idea, and I get everybody. Like, you never know exactly how it's going to go, right? They got Bryce Young,
but
I'm
saying, like, if it's trade up to 1 and you have to give up, 3 firsts,
sure,
or trade up to 2 and you have to give up like a first, a second, and a third, I'd rather just go to 2.
I don't disagree
Screw
with that. It's just maybe not that easy to be able to do that. And I know a lot of people are saying no to trade Davante Adams. I mean, we don't want to trade Adams either. However, if you want your franchise quarterback, that could be a way where you move on from an aging receiver. I mean, let's keep it real here. He's an aging receiver. He's still one of the best in the biz. But his value this season will be the highest that it will ever be, and it's due to his contract. If I'm an NFL team, I'm willing to give up 2 first-round picks for Davante Adams because the Raiders have already paid him for 2024, so they're getting a free Davante. Then after that, because that's the problem. If you try to trade Davante his 2 later years in his contract, I don't know many NFL teams that are going to take on $35 to $44 million paying a receiver that's 32, 33 years old. So, like, I'll tell you this right now, it's never been more of a realistic possibility that the Raiders could trade Davante Adams unless Davante says, I'm not getting dealt. But, I mean, we've already seen multiple times this season Davante leave early, not talk to the media because of how frustrated he is with this Raiders offense, and he has every right to be. The Raiders offense is absolutely disgraceful right now. Let's go to Patrick B. It's great to think about quarterbacks, but without knowing the head coach, it's hard to know the direction. I couldn't agree more with that statement, and I think it's kind of funny at times how much conversation we do around what quarterback should the Raiders draft, what quarterback should the Raiders, potentially trade for. And the reason why a guy like Justin Fields gets mentioned as much as he does to the Silver and Black is because right now, what do we know? We know Champ Kelly is our interim general manager. Kelly was part of the regime that wanted to bring in Justin Fields. He has a great relationship with Fields and, has always believed in him in that regard. And, like, if you don't think that you can get up and get one of those top 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft, do you just try to go after Justin Fields? Now, I'd make the argument you might still have to give up a first-round pick to get Fields. Maybe as the time goes on and people know what Chicago's going to do, maybe you can get Fields for a second-round pick. Like, I don't know what happens.
For a third or a fourth.
Petey's over here like, I can't believe what I just heard. Again, the amount of people that are connected with the Bears here at Chat Sports, the idea of giving up Fields for anything less than a first isn't there.
Just for Petey's reaction.
Yeah, Oakland fan, content creators would draft better. We would, and that's kind of the craziest thing.
If you think about it, you could honestly get Justin Fields if you trade Thayer Munford and a fourth. I'm just saying.
He's trolling.
I'm just saying.
He's trolling. And I know somebody like wants Bo Nix. I'm actually not a big Bo Nix fan. I'll talk about that a little bit. I think J.J. McCarthy would be a very bad quarterback in the NFL also to be able to do that. Like, we'll see which direction the Raiders go. But Patrick B., I agree with you. I agree with Mount Raidamore here, where until you find out what your head coach, general manager combination is, even your offensive coordinator, that's going to be able to tell me what direction they might decide to go in. But then the other part is this. I think Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May are just three outstanding quarterbacks. Michael Penix Jr. would be, I think, actually a little bit more like focused on what certain regime, like spread it out type of regime. I think Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, as good as what they have shown me. Jaden probably needs to be in a little bit more so of like a run-first friendly type of offense.
I'm not trying to take Nix or Penix till the second.
I wouldn't touch Bo Nix in the first round. That I know for a fact. Like, I wouldn't touch Bo Nix in the first round. Hell,
Penix I might think about touching.
Yeah?
Yeah.
His injuries do scare me a little bit.
Scott O'Brien, speaking of Venmo, 50-50 raffle, $10 to enter.
Yep. Which right now we have one person in. It's Just Win Baby.
Did you get Scott O'Brien's info on Venmo?
I want to say yes, Scott, because I sent you $1. You sent me $1 back. I'll be real. I haven't looked at anything yet today, but usually I do all my jersey stuff. I do all those type of ins and outs on Wednesday because that's the only day that I don't go live. So that's the time that I have the ability to catch up a little bit, if you will. So just keep that in mind. But right now, $10 Venmo to get in to do a race, and we'll do that at the very, very end of today's show. Right now, Just Win Baby Montoya, you in.
Oh, nice.
Let's go to Rich Wolf. What up, Rich Wolf, man?
New
FR Picks, bro. Brand new pick. We suck at first drafts, like you said. Clee, J.A., Damon, Leatherwood, Ruggs, Tyree. Our D is so good and hard right now. We just need a quarterback. Like, here's going to be what's really interesting. Yes, the Raiders' defense is good, but a lot of times when you bring in a new head coach, new general manager, like they want to bring in their own regime. Are they going to keep Patrick Graham? Are they going to keep some of those players on defense? Like I want to give Tyree Wilson a little bit of credit yesterday because, you know, I'm also going to give some credit to Chugs. Like Chugs has been saying for weeks, like, should they put Tyree Wilson in at defensive tackle? And, you know, should we let Malcolm Kuntz just be the guy on the outside? They put Tyree at DT yesterday. He gets 4 tackles and a sack, and it was by far his most impactful game that he's had.
If you want to see what the ceiling for Tyree Wilson is, in my opinion, go watch Michael Bennett highlights. Watch the former Seahawks defensive tackle, D-end, a guy who sometimes was out on the tackle, but most of the times was between the tackle and guard or over the guard. I think that's where Tyree Wilson lives because he's not a speedster.
Yep.
He's a big guy. He's huge. Maxx Crosby is an anomaly because he's massive, has the wingspan and the speed. Tyree Wilson does not have near the speed that Maxx Crosby does.
And again, like one of the things that I talked about when the Raiders drafted him is it's going to take a year for him to get back into football shape. It's going to take a year for that foot to be healthy. Like Tyree Wilson, when you watched his tape at Texas Tech when he was healthy, he did have decent bursts. Like he did have a good first jump. He does look slow. And when you're not able to do a lot of the things that you're supposed to do in the offseason, like to me, I don't want to jump on the Tyree Wilson's a bus train yet until he gets one full offseason where he can train, he can hit the gym, he can do all that kind of stuff. Has it been underwhelming? Yes, it has been. And have the Raiders been bad at drafting picks in the first round? Yes, they have been. I do think, though, this Raiders team is trending in the right direction. They finally have a defense, and the only thing that we are missing right now is, in fact, a quarterback. Aidan O'Connell has been bad. Jimmy Garoppolo was really bad this season. Brian Hoyer was unwatchable. And when you have those 3 quarterbacks and you think that, holy shit, the Raiders actually won 5 games this season with those 3 QBs, not a single QB in the top 32, I mean, my oh my, that's... Thanks, McDaniels. I'm glad you picked all 3 of them. Let's go to John Scheffler. Next up here on the Raiders Report. Also, Just Win Baby Mont, Salvador Mena, L.A. Crash Dog, Sergio Torres. Y'all are in for our 50-50 raffle. Scheffler, what's up, man? If anybody wants to jump the line, get your questions, comments here on the show. It's hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. I'm just going to keep answering questions that y'all send in. And then we'll get into some of the topics on today's show around Aidan O'Connell, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then a lot of the injury news that we know around Jacobs, around Maxx Crosby. We're going to talk about the Thursday Night Football game. Some of the injuries are in that one. And then I am going to say that there is one person on this Raiders staff that deserves to lose their job today. That's going to be coming up at the end of the show. Nation, I love you all, but I've been in this mess for 30-plus years because we have not gotten a franchise quarterback. You have to draft somebody that has the potential to be a franchise QB to change your franchise. Like, there are 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft that I would be willing to give up draft capital for. There are 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft that I would be willing to bet. If I was a head coach and GM, I'd be willing to bet on, and that is Aidan Daniels, that is Drake May, that is Caleb Williams. And for me, these are your top 3 quarterbacks. And the more and more I watch tape on all 3 of these guys, this is the clear-cut 3 to me. I think Michael Penix Jr. has done a phenomenal job at Washington. I think the offense he is in, Ryan Grubb has done a great job. They have 3 really good receivers. They run a spread offense. But what scares me about Michael Penix is kind of the same thing that scared me a little bit here with Tua. They are undersized quarterbacks. They do have some injury concerns. And yes, Tua's having a great year this season, but I think that's more to do with the offense and the things that are built around him. I think Aidan Daniels is spectacular. I think Caleb Williams is spectacular. Drake May, all spectacular. You got to try to go get one of them.
You didn't mention the biggest comparison.
To who?
To Tua.
Who?
Phoenix.
Yeah, I did.
They're both lefties.
Well,
that's the one thing they're both lefties, and all the things that are the same, and you're like, just gloss over.
I mean, I don't want to
left-handed quarterback.
I don't want to just be they're lefties, and that's the only comparison. Like,
no,
sure.
I know, but
no, it's fair.
I feel like that's a big
a
big thing that they have in common.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I picked Tua for that was the lefty comparison, but that's the obvious one. I guess some of the other stuff. Let's go to Patrick B. Mount Raidermore. What's up, my guy? I love Champ as our GM. Let's remove that intern label from him. But what names are available for the position for conversation's sake? So, Jeremy, I know we already did. I don't know if there's ability to find
GM replacements?
All the names, yeah. So what I ended up doing was, I actually have the link right here for you if you want me to send it to you. If anybody's interested in what Patrick B's talking about, here's a link to a video that I made. I'm going to put it for you guys down in the comments. Right now, if you want to click on it, it's Dave Ziegler replacements. It's the top Raiders general manager candidates for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2024. And I think the best way to get the ins and outs of a lot of the names that I talk about. So I talk about Brandon Tills, JoJo Wooden, Andy Weidel, Joe Horitz, Trey Brown, Mike Bergonzi, Ian Cunningham, Ed Dodds, Daniel Jeremiah is a name that I've thrown out there, Adam Peters, Lewis Riddick. But to get more of I think what you're looking for, Patrick, take 15, 20 minutes today. I'm looking at the video right now. It's not that long of a video. Check it out. I break down a bunch of Raiders general manager candidates. But I'll also say this. I'm going to make new videos on it. Like, I'm going to be making videos the entire off season because every single week, and I think one of the things that drives me the most nuts with NFL fans, Raider fans, are like, oh, Mitch, you were on Aidan O'Connell hype train. I was, because Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't the right guy. Hey, Mitch, when the Raiders were 2-0 with Antonio Pierce, you said that he's the right guy for the job. At that time, he was the right guy for the job. Like, the NFL is a fluid league, and every single year or every single week, your opinion can change on something because you're getting more and more and more information. So I do think Champ Kelly has done an okay job, but I also don't want to give Champ Kelly a 100% of a pass. Like, the Raiders had an opportunity. They had 2 weeks to prepare for the Minnesota Vikings. They had 2 weeks to be able to go out and maybe sign somebody that could have helped us in some way, shape, or form beat Minnesota. You did not do anything. You didn't do anything. And then the day after you lose in a 3-0 game, then you go out and sign somebody. Like, to me, I'm not going to give Champ Kelly a pass. Yes, people talk about him he's very well respected, but so was Dave Ziegler. Like, and, you know, what Champ Kelly, what's a nice way to put this? Champ Kelly did a lot of draft scouting in Chicago. They did not have a lot of success with a lot of the draft scouting that Champ Kelly did and that regime did. Still a lot of time to beat.
I do see the walking Vienna sausage that is Hefe KC.
Oh yeah.
I do want to ask this question really quick. Is Mahomes the biggest crybaby in the NFL? Because we have our resident crybaby Chiefs fan, Hefe KC, in the chat.
It's a good question.
After the absolute temper tantrum meltdown that he had last night.
I didn't know if it was Jackson Mahomes wearing his brother's jersey or what it was.
I didn't know because a play that was an obvious penalty against the Chiefs, and he's upset whenever the Chiefs get every 50-50 call. They get everything handed to them on the plate. When the refs make a correct call against them, it's, I'm going to curse you out. I'm not even going to shake hands with my competitor. I'm going to tell him that it's BS to his face.
And I think, the big difference of maturity is what I'm going to call it is Andy Reid is an adult. The reason why he's the best coach in the NFL is Andy Reid goes to the podium today and says that was on Kadarius Toney, right? Like the penalty was on Kadarius Toney. What Patrick Mahomes should have done, and, Mahomes has honestly done a phenomenal job this entire season of being like, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me, when everybody knows it wasn't on Mahomes. But what he could have done and what he should have done yesterday, and this is where Tom Brady would have absolutely done that, where a guy like Peyton Manning, I think, absolutely does that, and you can't always be the nice guy. Mahomes had the opportunity to say, you know what? Our receivers screwed up yesterday. Yeah, they've been bad the entire season. Like, we know that they've been bad the entire season. But Mahomes, instead of blaming the refs because, yeah, there was some questionable calls, but if there is one team that gets calls more than anybody, if there is one guy that gets calls more than anybody in the NFL, it's Patrick Mahomes. And for him to take the route that he did when he was clearly in the wrong, where I think as an adult, what he should have done is say, hey, Kadarius Toney, line up in the right spot. Hey, receivers, make sure you guys are doing the right thing. You've been killing us the entire year. It's just a different maturity level to a guy like Andy Reid, to a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Like, I'll say this. I have had the utmost respect for Mahomes his entire career. He's a great player, and that's why people don't like him. I lost a lot of respect for Mahomes, and I don't know if he's the biggest crybaby. He's the biggest crybaby today over the last 24 hours in the NFL. Yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes, man.
I mean, especially after in the biggest stage of them all, in the Super Bowl, you get one of the biggest 50-50 calls in NFL history in one of the most crucial games.
Again, people are ripping on Mahomes because everybody knows the special treatment that he gets, that the Kansas City Chiefs
I've
get.
seen multiple people on Twitter thread of close calls that Mahomes got.
I mean, it's asinine.
There was one where him and a guy met inbounds, both hit each other, both fell down, and they called a unnecessary roughness on the defensive player.
I agree, actually, with Scott O'Brien. It reminded me of when a very, very entitled child doesn't get their way and they throw a temper tantrum. Yeah. I mean, that's what it was. So I'm 100% in agreement with you there, Scott O'Brien. Man, we got 600 people here watching the Raiders Report.
FAKC said still winning a ring. You might not even win the AFC West. Y'all keep on losing games.
I mean, yes, they have won 2 Super Bowls. You're not going to take that away, but I'm talking about this year, and I think for the first time in a long time, Kansas City does look very beatable.
And Hefe, like most Kansas City fans, they can't read. This isn't a Chargers. This is a Hanukkah sweater. It's okay.
He probably doesn't even know what Hanukkah is.
All right. There's a thing called Google. Hefe KC. It's on your computer. You go and you just look stuff up on there. Yeah.
I know. Dan DZ, Hefe, he was not a Chiefs fan 7 years ago. There's no doubt about it. All right, man, we got 600 people here. If you haven't already, if you think Patrick Mahomes is a crybaby, click that like button right now. If you want, anytime Hefe talks in the chat, spam FKC. Let's get him the hell out of here. The way that we're going to continue to run today's show is if you need to vent, if you need to talk like me, because I got home last night, and I actually didn't need to vent last night because I was just so upset that I was like, man, I just want to go home. I want to have dinner. I want to hang out with Alex. I want to hang out with Chuck. When I woke up this morning, I was like, I want to talk. Like, I want to talk about the Raiders. I want to talk about the Vikings. I had plenty of time to be able to just...
I bet you Hefe KC can't name any Chiefs player prior to 2010.
I don't even know if I can. No, I'm just kidding. But to me, I want you guys to be able to vent. Hashtag Raiders, super chat, get those questions, comments on the show right now. Then we'll get into the debate around Jimmy Garoppolo, Aidan O'Connell. What's up, Ben Thrack? Also, before I keep going into all these questions, for those that missed it, the video is out on the channel. DJ Fluker signed with the Raiders. It's out on the channel. You just like, if you want, it's on Facebook? Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Thanks. Raiders have a top 10 defense in scoring. Been a while since we could say that.
You love to see it. Hefe KC making my point for me. I said, can you name a player before 2010? He said, yeah, Alex Smith. Yeah, he was on the Chiefs before 2010? Not so fast, Hefe, you dumbass.
I think.
Oh, wow. See, fake Chiefs fans, everybody spam FKC, doesn't even know his own team. He said, yeah, I know a player before 2010, Alex Smith.
I mean, you got to understand this.
Oh, my goodness.
Hefe's probably like 13. He's sitting in math class right now, and he's just interacting with us. I don't know what he's doing.
Absolutely love it.
It's all good. The fact that he's watching the Raiders Report, we're living rent-free. We're living rent-free here. All right, Venthrak. Yes, this Raiders defense is a top 10 unit. They've been playing very well this entire season. I think Patrick Graham has shown every reason why he deserves to come back. Like, he deserves every reason to be the defensive coordinator next season. And I hope whoever, and I mean whoever they bring in as head coach, general manager, decides, you know what? Yeah, we usually like to bring in our own regime, but you're going to be dumb to move on from Patrick Graham. And I think also, like, it would be dumb to move on from a guy like Rob Leonard, who's done a phenomenal job. Jason Simmons, who's done a great job with the DBs. Edgar Bennett's one of the most respected wide receiver coaches in the NFL. Like, the Raiders actually have some good coaches, some good coordinators in there. I am a little bit worried to see what happens to some of those guys, man. Joshua Garcia, what's up, my brother?
Hey.
That one person who should be gone right now is that OC. My God, 0 points again. Is McDaniels back? What's kind of crazy is, I'm not going to lie, Joshua, I will be talking about Bo Hardegree coming up here. I won't tell you whether or not he's the guy that I really want to get rid of or not, but I do know this, the Raiders offense, 4 touchdowns in the last 18 quarters. Raiders scored 3 touchdowns their very first game against the Giants. First half, I guess I should say. And then in the last 18 quarters of football, 4 total touchdowns. And when you think about touchdowns that have been scored, 1 touchdown in the second half with Bo Hardegree as your offensive coordinator. It's brutal, man. It's been a brutal stretch. Let's go to Jersey Boy Gariser. What's up, my man? Also, Luis Rodriguez, you in?
So I actually have some insight onto this one. I can answer this one.
And Kobe Carson, you in?
I can answer this one if you'd like.
Drake May is my pick, but I have to ask, since I go to Liberty, what is your opinion on Caden Slater? Also Bo.
It's supposed to be Caden Salter. I actually covered him in high school here in Dallas, Texas. He went to Cedar Hill. Decent player, athletic player. I think he could be good. Needs another year or 2 in college football. And he's not ready for the NFL, in my opinion, up here. He's a good kid. Every time I've met him, he's respectful. Every time I've interviewed him, he was a good kid. But I see him on IG Live, and he was literally playing Madden while his team was in mandatory meetings. And he was like, yeah, I'm not going to that.
Yes,
yeah. So
that scares me, seeing shit like that. I'm not going to lie to you. I have not watched any tape on this kid, and I'll try to do some homework once the season's over.
He's good. He's athletic. He does play against lesser competition with Liberty.
I know I always say I don't want to judge a player based on where the school is.
He's able to get away with more with his athleticism playing against the teams that he plays, and he's still a good player. But he definitely needs
Who's
2
better,
years.
him or Malik Willis coming out of college?
Him or Malik Willis, him right now versus Malik Willis in the draft, probably Malik Willis.
I'm saying when Malik came out of Liberty compared to this kid, who's the better one? Because, like, I've seen some comparisons. I've seen people call him the lesser version of Malik Willis, and that's not something that I want.
I think in 2 years, he can be as good, if not better, than Malik Willis. I think his ceiling could be higher than Malik Willis, but it's a mentality thing. Like, you can't be missing team meetings and important stuff.
That ticks me off, to be honest.
And I think the reason is because he's halfway out the door. He's going to enter into the transfer portal after the bowl game. Probably going to go to a Power 5 school. And then we'll see how he goes from there. And maybe something changes up. And obviously, 19-year-old kid, me being like, oh, wow, he skipped something to go play Madden. When I've done that multiple times. Every time Brett asked me to have a meeting, I said, sorry, I'm playing Madden. So
in the month of July, in the month of July, you probably could have got away with that. But Jersey boy, I'll do some homework on it. All right, let's go to the last super chat, and then let's get into a segment today that's going to be around Jimmy Garoppolo, Aidan O'Connell. I got 2 more segments for the nation. How about them Dodgers? We winning it all. I'm not going to sit up here and argue baseball with you because I don't know much about baseball right now. All I know is I'm a Mets fan. Shohei Ohtani, 700.
Let's go, Stros. Let's go, Stros.
I mean, isn't it crazy that Shohei's $700 million 10-year contract is more than what the Oakland A's have paid their last 10 teams? That's insane. 10 teams combined over the last 10 years what the Oakland A's have paid.
That's why baseball is so weird sometimes, and it's so crazy when you see a team like that doesn't have a huge payroll make it far. Like, I remember the Rays a couple seasons ago made it to the World Series, and I feel like they didn't have a large
They had a good
payroll.
farm system, and to me, it's one of the reasons why I kind of wish baseball, I don't think they'll ever do it, does go with like some sort of salary cap. Again, baseball is probably the one sport that it can't work, but it would make the playing field a lot more
Astros
even.
winning it all this year, it doesn't matter.
I hope not. I hope not. Tim Nelson, use hashtag Raiders, then I can put it up on screen. So it's important if you guys want questions up on screen to use some sort of variation of hashtag Raiders or super chat, and then you're good.
I knew they wouldn't love that.
What up, Scott? All I want for Christmas is a Raiders win over the Chiefs. I mean, here's the thing, though, Scott. Like, if I told, like, to me, it's either you win all 4 of your games or you lose all 4 of your games. The only way that you can even spin it to me is that I'd be happy with a win over Kansas City, as if, like, the win that the Raiders had over the Chiefs was the reason that they didn't win the division. But even that then. Like,
this is on me. Tim Nelson actually super chatted, and I accidentally skipped over it.
Oh. Well, go back. We can go back to it. Let me finish answering this question here. The last one that came in from Scott. To me, again, I'm trying to either go, we're going to make the playoffs, we're going to win our next 4 games, or you lose your next 4, which is the best thing for the Raiders, and then you have a better opportunity to get a Jaden Daniels, a Drake May, a Caleb Williams. All right, Tim, you can blame Jeremy and that Hanukkah sweater. If we lose again and are eliminated from the playoffs, would you still want to try to win, or then would you tank for a shot at a top quarterback? Here's the thing, man. I'm not going to tank. Like, I don't want players to ever tank. Like, can coaching staff try to tank? You can do whatever. Like, I don't even know if the Raiders have to try to tank. Like, to me, if you try to tank, I think it's maybe by sitting down a Maxx Crosby. Though, if I'm Crosby, do I want to try to break the Raiders' single-season sack record? Could potentially be something to look at. I still would want to be able to evaluate certain players and talents. Like, the reason why I don't like tanking is for the biggest reason of you got guys making millions of dollars. I don't know how you sell people paying all this money to go watch these players play. They're making millions of dollars and they're not trying to win. Like, is the best thing for the Raiders if they're eliminated to lose the remainder of their games? Yes, of course. It's going to help you get a better chance to go out and get a quarterback. But, like, I don't like the idea of you just saying, no, we're going to tank. If that's the case, if you're legitimately trying to tank, you promote every single guy from your practice squad. If whoever's going to be a free agent in the offseason, there's 16 of them. You say bon voyage, and then, I don't know, you roll with Brian Hoyer for the rest of the season. You don't play Devontae Adams because you don't want him to get injured. It's just, the Raiders, though, are so bad right now that I don't think that they need to try to lose football games. Let's go to Anthony. What's up, my guy? All I want for Christmas is an OC that knows what the hell he's doing. Wow. I want an offensive coordinator that can actually put together a 4 quarters of a game plan.
Santa just reading all these Raiders notes. It's like, really? You don't on an iPad? They're like, nope, new OC.
New OC. But I mean,
Dear
Bo Hardegree has
Santa,
been terrible.
I hope you're having a Raider Christmas.
Bo Hardegree has been worse than Josh McDaniels at calling plays. Like, I have all the stats to be able to prove it. We'll kind of talk about it coming up here on the show. But Bo's been lost. And again, when you think about how much Raiders football we sit back and watch and even want, like this, the game that we watched yesterday was the worst offensive football game. That's a lie. The second worst offensive football game that I have seen since covering the Raiders. Can you name the first?
I think I can.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know exactly what game you're talking about.
Because that game was unbelievable.
Raiders, Saints last year.
Oh.
They didn't pass the 50-yard line.
That was brutal.
You everybody in the chat who's saying we want Carr, the worst game in Raiders offensive history, Carr was the quarterback.
I don't understand how there's a still select group of Raider fans that are like, there's a guy right now saying that we need Derek Carr. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, Carr's getting yelled at by his own offensive
Trace
lineman.
just turned around and said, we can have him back. Like, why would you want a quarterback that he's not even a top 20 QB? And again, to me, Derek hasn't been a top 20 quarterback for probably the last 2 years. And yes, he's dealt with a bunch of different offensive systems. But why are we talking about Derek Carr?
Carr might not be the best quarterback in his own division, and nobody in his division is above 500.
I mean, who's a better quarterback in his division?
I would probably take Baker Mayfield over him.
It's close.
I think I would take Baker Mayfield, even though Sam has that shit grin on his face.
Well, that's because we swapped the peanut butter cookies.
So I said I think I might take Baker Mayfield over Derek Carr right now.
I mean, Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr, I think it's a legitimate conversation. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You also said Texas over.
All right, y'all, if you want in for a chance to win some money,
Oklahoma making the CFP,
$10
right?
Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. We're going to do it at the very, very end of the show. We're going to do a duck race. Right now, we have 6 people in, which means you would win $30. So 10 to win $30 at the end of the show. We're going to be getting in now to a segment around Jimmy Garoppolo and Aidan O'Connell, so stay tuned on that. Then after that segment, we will get into all the latest Raiders news that happened today, and there's a lot of stuff to get into, some NFL stuff as well. That's going to impact our Thursday night football game against the Los Angeles Chargers. So, you ready to go?
Yes.
Jeremy says he's ready to go. So, if you guys are ready to go, coming up right now, what is the Raiders' plan at quarterback? Who should start for the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Chargers? Should it be Jimmy Garoppolo? Type JG. Or should it be Aidan O'Connell? I want you to type AOC. Coming up here on today's episode of the Raiders Report, my answer on who should start for the Raiders for the remainder of the season. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Should the Raiders start Jimmy Garoppolo over Aidan O'Connell against the Chargers? We're going to hit that topic to start this show, and then at the end, what is the Raiders' plan at QB for this season and in 2024? Here's going to be my take, and when I told Jeremy this morning, he looked at me a little bit funny. If the Las Vegas Raiders actually are trying to beat the Chargers and make the playoffs, I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo gives you the best chance to beat the Chargers on Thursday Night Football in Week 15. So if you're trying to legitimately make the playoffs, and when I say make the playoffs, man, you better be 100% sure that you're going to win your next 4 games. You better be damn sure that you're going to beat the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Colts, that you're going to be able to beat the Denver Broncos. Jimmy Garoppolo gives you a better chance against the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. And this is why that you should consider starting Jimmy Garoppolo against the Chargers. And what's really important on this show is to watch the entire thing. Aidan O'Connell has been terrible this season. I know what I've said on this show before and saying, hey, Aidan gives you a better shot than Jimmy G. I don't know if he does right now. That's how bad he has been. But with a completion percentage of 63.8, 1,365 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, I have seen a sample size of Garoppolo to know, or of Aidan O'Connell to know that he's not going to be anything more than a backup quarterback in the NFL. It has been something that I have said multiple times on this show. I do think that he's going to be a good backup in the league, but that is all that he is ever going to be. The other reason why Garoppolo does give you a better shot than Aidan O'Connell against the Chargers is the Chargers already saw Aidan. they've already seen what he is, and it was not good back in week 4. Did he have a bad offensive line? Yes, he was sacked 7 times. Khalil Mack absolutely feasted. He was 24-39, 238 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. So the fact that they have already seen him play once, is the biggest factor of why I believe that Garoppolo does give you a better shot than Aidan O'Connell this upcoming week. He's already been seen by the Chargers, and when you don't have any tape on a guy, sometimes that can help you out a lot. So the fact that there's no tape, there's nothing to study on Jimmy Garoppolo and Bo Hardegree, those are the reasons why, and that is the only reasons why, that Garoppolo gives you a better shot than Aidan. Here's the thing, though, and this is why it's very important for you to watch the entirety of the show, because I already know that there's going to be people that watch until this moment right here, and they're going to go out on social media and they're going to say, Mitchell Renz is saying to start Jimmy Garoppolo over Aidan O'Connell. And if you see that, tell me, because then they're just lazy and they didn't watch the whole show. Because here's one thing that we have to say right now. Despite me saying that I do think Jimmy Garoppolo gives you a better chance than Aidan O'Connell against the Chargers, the Raiders would be foolish. You cannot start Jimmy Garoppolo at all. Like, I'm so confident that you can't start Garoppolo. You have to actually consider about making Brian Hoyer on your active roster, because at this point in the season, when you're pretty damn confident that you're not going to make the playoffs, you can't afford Jimmy G to get hurt. Like, if Aidan were to get hurt, I would rather the Raiders put out Brian Hoyer on the field, and we'll get into a lot of the contract stuff of why I'm saying what I'm saying, but the Raiders cannot play Jimmy Garoppolo for the remainder of the season. For all the same reasons, they couldn't play Derek Carr and why they ended up benching him at the end of last season. It's the stuff in his contract. That's why you should subscribe to the Raiders Report. There's a lot of conversations out there on social media, and I get it. Coming up here, though, why the Raiders can't start Jimmy G. And if you agree that starting Jimmy G is dumb, hit that subscribe button. Like, I do this show, and I think smart NFL teams, smart head coaches, smart GMs, they don't always look at the future. Sometimes you got to look at the future. And I think, honestly, it's a lot more of it's a skill that some people have to learn how to do. If you think starting Jimmy Garoppolo is dumb for the Las Vegas Raiders, subscribe, because we're going to be agreeing on today's show. And the reason why you don't start Jimmy G, you just can't afford to put him out there due to the contract. So if Jimmy G is injured this year, his contract could be fully guaranteed in 2024. So let's say he goes out there, he plays against the Chargers. Oh, wait, we're talking about Garoppolo here. I would bet a lot of money that in those final 4 games, if Jimmy G's out there on the field, there's a chance he gets hurt. And if Garoppolo wants to say, well, wait a minute, I want to guarantee my contract for next season, I could just act hurt, or I might not be able to pass a physical when the time comes to see if my contract gets fully guaranteed, which is the 5th day of the new league year. I'm telling y'all right now, Garoppolo's getting cut next season. Like, there is a 0% chance that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on the Las Vegas Raiders next year, and because of that, they're not going to play him this year. That's why Aidan O'Connell didn't get benched yesterday, and that's why he didn't get put out there in the game. They know that they're moving on from Jimmy G, because when you look at his overall contract, and I'm going to kind of break this down for you because of all the different deals that Jimmy has already had. He's basically already had 3 different contracts with the Raiders. But he's got a 2024 roster bonus, which is $11.25 million guaranteed, which would be paid to him the 5th day of the new league year in 2024. Then his 2024 salary becomes fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the new league year if he's injured at any point. So with that injury clause that they have in there, that has really screwed over the Raiders this season. And the reason why they're going to cut him is because the money that they can save. Now, they're not going to cut him right away, but they will designate him as a post-June 1st cut. So Garoppolo will be designated as a post-June 1st cut in March. I know it sounds weird. NFL teams are allowed to designate 2 players a year to post-June 1st cuts. So Garoppolo is going to be able to sign with any team that he wants to in March, April, May. And the money that you're going to see is still going to be on the Raiders' books. However, as soon as June 1st rolls around, the Raiders are going to get $13 million. Yes, they are going to eat $15 million, but they're not going to do a dead cap at $28 million and save only $199,000. Because the Raiders are 100% going to designate Jimmy Garoppolo as a post-June 1st cut, that is why you cannot put him on the field these final 4 games if you're Antonio Pierce. So coming up here for the Raiders is going to be their plan at quarterback for this season and for next season. I'm going to lay out the blueprint. And if the Raiders follow this blueprint, they will finally be a successful franchise. I don't say this lightly. If the Raiders were to listen to a lot of content creators, if the Raiders were to follow a lot of the plans that we have put out, draft, free agency, trades over the past 4 years, we would be in such a better spot than where we currently are. So Mark, smarten up. Watch this video, please. Now, before I get into my plan for the Raiders in 2023 and in 2024, Raider Nation, I want you to try PrizePicks because it's daily fantasy sports made easy. And if my fiance Alex enjoys playing, I think you guys would have a lot of fun as well. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Testing my skills on PrizePicks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So when I want to go out and play, I think about what I'm going to be doing that night. So I am recording this video on Monday before the Monday Night Football game, so I'm going to put some money on some Monday Night Football games. But also, you can look at NBA slates, because right now a lot of the guys here at Chat Sports, they are obsessed with playing some of the NBA slates out there. So all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link's going to be available to all y'all down in the comments, down in the description. And on Thanksgiving, I sat there and watched all 3 games with my fiance Alex. We won some money. She was into all the games. And if she's interested, there's not too many times in life that you can spend $10, be occupied for 3 hours, let's say, with a chance to win some money. I mean, it's the best thing that I could tell you of why you should play. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS. All right, coming up right now, Raiders plan at quarterback. I got a 5-step plan. 5-step plan that, please, for the love of God, Mark Davis, I want you to follow this plan. So your final 4 games, what the Raiders need to do at quarterback is you roll with Aidan O'Connell. You roll with Aidan. You got to be able to continue to evaluate him in terms of what's his long-term value as a backup quarterback. And I've said it now multiple weeks. And I know some people always want to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm actually curious if people are just get obsessed with the Raiders QB that wears number 4 and they ignore all the bad and they only look at the good. The problem is there hasn't been much good. Does Bo Hardegree suck? Yes. Has Josh McDaniels terrible? Yeah, and I get it. They built a lot of this kind of offense here. But Aidan doesn't have the proper tools to be a starting quarterback. You put AOC out there on the field as your starter the final 4 games. But here's the thing. I would also put Brian Hoyer on your active roster because you can't afford to have Jimmy G step foot on that field, because if he does and he gets injured, then you got to pay him in 2024. So if I'm the Raiders, I actually give an active roster spot to Brian freaking Hoyer. Let's go to the next plan here. So if you're going to roll with Aidan O'Connell, then in the offseason, you cut Jimmy Garoppolo, you cut Brian Hoyer. Like, these are 2 moves that simply just have to happen. You move on from the McDaniels quarterbacks. You designate Jimmy G as a post-June 1st cut. That's going to save you $13 million. Then you cut Brian Hoyer to save $167,000. I know it's not a lot of money, but that roster spot is something. So you can add 2 roster spots from this clown that you see on screen right now. Honestly, seeing his face on screen again pisses me off. And you can save $13.17 million by moving on from both of those quarterbacks, which the Raiders absolutely are going to do, and it's the smart thing that the Raiders are going to do. So, okay, you play Aidan O'Connell to finish out this season. You cut Jimmy G. You cut Brian Hoyer. Well, now what's the plan for the Raiders going forward? I've seen a lot of people say, well, Mitch, why not we look at free agency? Do you know why you shouldn't look at free agency? Because the quarterbacks in free agency in 2024 are, they're bad. Like, Jeremy, I don't know if you guys could hear him in the background. I felt like we're at the Bikini Bottom episode where that's literally what this quarterback room looks like in 2024. The best name on here is Kirk Cousins. However, I'm not paying Kirk Cousins $40 million a year coming off a torn Achilles. Like, Ryan Tannehill stinks. Jacoby Brissett has been able to win some games, but I'm not going to go in that direction. Baker Mayfield, get out of here. Gardner Minshew, get out of here. Like, there's no names on this list that if I'm a brand new head coach, if I'm a brand new general manager, I'm going to say that these are one of my guys. And if that new head coach or general manager, offensive coordinator, whoever it is, says, I want one of those top 10 quarterbacks in free agency, you fire them right there because they clearly have no idea what they are doing. If you want to sign one of those guys to be a backup on a very cheap deal, maybe I'd still rather just roll with Aidan O'Connell, invest your money in another way. But if our new head coach or GM says, I want one of those top 10 guys in free agency, fire them right there. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. They have no idea what they're doing. The next plan that you should do for the Raiders is this. See trade values. And there are 3 quarterbacks that I would say right now are the most likely to be traded if you are the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm not really going to rank these in any particular order. It's more based on where the Raiders are currently at. So the reason why Justin Fields is up here is because he's the most likely quarterback, in my opinion, that ends up getting traded because the Bears are going to have the number 1 overall pick. Remember, they traded with the Carolina Panthers. Panthers right now look like that they're going to hang on to that number 1 pick. So with that being said, they're going to take a Drake May, a Caleb Williams, maybe a Jaden Daniels. You move on from Justin Fields. And I know a lot of Raider fans out there think that the Bears are just going to give away Justin Fields. I don't see that. I don't think that you're going to get Fields for anything less than a first. And I think at the absolute cheapest, maybe it's a 2nd and a 4th round pick for Fields. So, like, you could go that route. Kyler Murray, if you want to go with the big expensive route, pay him $50 million, give up multiple first-round picks. And then the cheap name is if you're like, all right, well, I'll give up a 6th-round pick for Trey Lance to let him compete. Like, you could do it. To me, though, I'm not going to trade for any of these quarterbacks unless I can get Kyler Murray for a 2nd-round pick. That ain't happening. Trey Lance, if they essentially just hand him over, but that's going to be my 3rd quarterback. Or if the Bears say, hey, you want him for a 3rd-round pick? All right, then I'll start to consider it. But the smartest thing that the Raiders can do this offseason at QB is draft a franchise guy. As it stands right now that I am making this video, the Raiders have the number 8 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. And with the final 4 games that they have, I don't know if they're going to win any of them. And if that ends up happening, you're probably going to be somewhere between number 7 and you can go all the way up to pick 4. If you're at pick 4, you're going to be able to draft your franchise quarterback. So my question to you out there is this. Which QB do you want the Raiders to draft in 2024, knowing that, hey, I might have to trade some draft capital. Hey, I might have to trade a star player. Maybe it's a Devontae Adams type of guy to go up and get that franchise QB. Nobody wants to trade Devontae, but it's a conversation that sometimes you have to have. So which QB do you want the Raiders to draft in 2024? My top 3 after this YouTube ad break. My top 3 quarterbacks for the Raiders. Number 1, it's always going to be Drake May. I think Drake May is the combination of Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert coming out of college, the way that they're able to throw the football and their athletic ability. Caleb Williams is number 2 to me. His mentality does scare me a little bit. I am worried that he might be a little bit too weak-minded to handle Raider Nation at times. Yes, he's got all the tools in the world, but you need to be able to have it up here. And then Jaden Daniels continues to go up my big board. Like, the more and more tape I watch on him, how much better he's been able to get from his days at Arizona State to LSU and now this past season. The notes I have on Jaden Daniels are strikingly similar to the notes that I had on Lamar Jackson when they were coming out of Louisville. Even though everyone was like, oh, he's not going to be able to transition to the NFL. He's a special player. These are the 3 QBs that if I'm the Raiders, I do everything in my power. And if it means trading away a guy like Devontae Adams to get one of these 3 QBs, I'm going to do it. So here's my plan for the Raiders at QB. Final 4 games, it's got to be Aidan O'Connell. You activate Brian Hoyer. That way if Aidan goes down, Jimmy G never steps foot on that field because you can't risk him getting injured, and then you have to pay him his entire salary in 2024. So I'm rolling with Aidan O'Connell, Brian Hoyer for the rest of the season. Then you cut Jimmy G, you cut Brian Hoyer, save about $13.17 million. You avoid all the quarterbacks in free agency. They all stink. Yes, you see the trade values in a guy like Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, a Trey Lance, just to see what's that quarterback value market looking like. Like, what type of offers is Chicago getting for Fields? And then you don't trade. You look in the draft. You get Drake May, Caleb Williams, or Jaden Daniels. That is the Raiders' plan, the perfect plan at quarterback for the Silver and Black.
Woo! Good segment. Good segment, Mitch. And now that that's over, I have a quick question for you because we are now officially, I don't know if you knew this, we are in the season. We are officially in the point of the season where Cowboys fans wholeheartedly believe they will win the Super Bowl. So let me ask you this. Who is your favorite, or if you want to say it the British way, Martin, favorite? Favorite? F-A-V-O-U-R-I-T? I don't know. Let me know. Who's your favorite to win the Super Bowl right now? If you had to put money on it, if I said $50, you can bet on any team to win the Super Bowl right now, who are you putting your money on? Let me know down in the chat. I see Dolphins, Eagles, Niners. Yeah. Ravens.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go. Also, Jeremy,
we both have experiences with this. We both have
I got my Hanukkah shirt on too, by the way.
We both have fiancés who are Cowboys fans. So is Alex in the point of her Cowboys fandom?
She always thinks that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. Though. Like, she's not the right person to ask. The Cowboys could have just gotten. The Cowboys could have just lost 3-0 to the Minnesota Vikings and be 5-8, and she's going to be like, Cowboys are going all the way. Like,
I have a couple buddies who are Cowboys fans, and they're right there at the point where they're like, oh, yeah, we're winning the Super Bowl. Streak over. The curse is broken.
All right, so the Raiders just released an injury report, and again, they didn't actually practice today. It's more of just an estimation, and they listed Josh Jacobs as a non-participant on Monday.
Ooh, Abby says 2012 rematch, Niners-Ravens.
That would be pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie. Or what would be even crazier? 49ers rematch against Joe Flacco and the Browns. Joey Flacco was cooking, baby.
No, do not give Petey any juice right now. Petey needs no juice with the Browns.
So they did not participate for the Raiders in terms of their injury news. Again, they did not practice today. Josh Jacobs, Maxx Crosby, Andre James, Kenai Malga, Colton Miller. All of them, they said, would not have participated. Brandon Faison, full. Curtis Bolton, Adam Butler, and Amik Robertson would have been full participants. So, actually, could you actually get me some too? Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all, I'm rocking my Hanukkah shirt for Jeremy Chuggs out there. I mean, he's got his on. He looks pretty. I had to do it too. Oh, shit. You got a dreidel. We could play the dreidel game. Dude, we should play the dreidel game. What'd you guys go with? Shin. Hopefully that was the right answer. All right, coming up next here on the Raiders Report, we're going to get into all the news and rumors that people from the nation should know about what's happening right now with the Silver and Black, where this team is kind of going forward. We're going to talk about Crosby, Jacobs. Like, we're going to give you all the ins and outs. We did start today's live show like 5 minutes early because right before we were getting ready to go live, we were breaking down the news that the Las Vegas Raiders, they went out and they signed DJ Fluker. So if you want to hear my analysis on the Raiders going out and getting Fluker, it is on Twitter right now. I can also put the link for you guys down here in the comments real quick. That way you don't miss it. 1 second. Here is the link. So if anybody wants to see my breakdown of DJ Fluker, you can click on that link, save it. I would recommend you watch it after our live show here, and then give me your thoughts on Fluker, because a lot of the stuff that I talk about is like Andre James, Colton Miller, why the Raiders decided to bring him in. So please go check it out. I see some people right now. Jesus, what's up, my man? Anthony, super chatted. Once Chuggs gets back, we'll get the super chats back up here. I'm going to refresh my phone to see how many people are in our duck race. And as it stands right now, we had 6. We now have 8 people that are in our duck race. James Guevara, he wants in twice. So James Guevara in twice. So right now, we're going to do one at the very, very end. Honestly, that's an impressive spin. That's, I was just going to say, man, this guy has spun some dreidels in his day. I figured if it's this small, Jeremy knows how to work it. Yeah, see, I can't do it. I'm used to a bigger dreidel. My dreidel's a little bit bigger. I'm not going to lie, though. If your dreidel does look like this, I'm worried. It's a lot of head. It's a lot of headroom. Poor Danny. I could see it. All right, 8 people in our 50-50 raffle, which means right now you'd go home with $40. You'd go home with $40. Good luck to everybody out there. Oh, Mr. Zahn. What's up there, Mr. David Zahn? Shout out to Mount Raidermore here in the building. If you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, let me know who's watching right now. Spam me down below. Who's here rocking with me? And if you need to vent, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. Also, Chugs, I do have a Super Chat that I'd like you to be able to go to. Anthony just sent that one in. I see Christopher Leonard. What's up, my brother? What's up, Ed Robbins? Patrick B, El Loco Uno, Blaine Craig, Mr. Zahn, Senior Steve, Scott O'Brien, Husker Raider, Luis Rodriguez, Jose Garcia, which Joshua, I actually wore your jersey, I want to say like 2 weeks ago. So that one just came in. Lennon, Javier, we got Lion 7, Luis Rodriguez here in the building. What's up, Blue Richards? Jaime Alvarado Sr. We got Ox, Leo 8164, Michael Rascon, Just Win Baby 7906. Appreciate all y'all tuning in to the Raiders Report. All right, let's go to Anthony here. No, but on a serious note, and if anybody wants their questions up here on screen, 2 ways to do it. Hashtag Raiders, which right now if you did hashtag Raiders, you would be the next question up. If you want to skip the line and make sure that you do get on screen, you super chat. Anthony, no, but on a serious note, I love AP, but that game showed how much we really need a head coach and OC with experience. Trade for Fields and draft a quarterback in the middle to late rounds. Which quarterback would you want to draft? Like, why trade for Justin Fields? Man, it's an honest question. Like, what has Justin Fields done to indicate to anybody out there that he's a good quarterback? Like, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's not a good thrower. Like, dude can't throw a football. Like, he is Mr. Checkdown. Checks it down, can't throw the ball down the field. Is he a great athlete? Yes. No doubt about it. I can't wrap my mind around Fields. And then I do think that Antonio Pierce is a great leader. And I don't want to fully judge everything that you're seeing on the field because it's not a team that Antonio Pierce built, right? Like, it is still a team led by Josh McDaniels. Has the offense been bad? You can make the argument that the Raiders' offense has been worse since McDaniels has been fired. Like, I think the numbers prove that. Yes, the defense, I think, is good, but the defense also was good before, with just Patrick Graham. So I don't really want to give Antonio Pierce credit in that. The thing that really just discouraged me the most about Pierce is, and man, I want Antonio Pierce to be the head coach. Like, I do. I want him to. I think it's a great story. I think he's a great leader, and the Raiders have to make the playoffs at this point. You got to win your next 4 games, and then I'll go to bat. If you win 3 out of your next 4, I don't think he deserves to get the job. I don't think that would be fair. But the Raiders have to show improvements. The Raiders have gotten worse on offense. You had 2 weeks to be able to prepare for Minnesota, and you looked as lost as you've ever been. You did not make any adjustments in the Giants game, and I know the Giants game's a little different, but they scored 24 in the first half, 6 in the second half. You up against the New York Jets, I get it, it's a great defense. You barely win that game. Great defense, so you got to give them credit. Against Miami, your offense that was probably I almost make an argument that the Miami Dolphins game on offense is the second worst game I've probably seen on offense this season in terms of my expectations, because the other game was against Chicago when they started Brian Hoyer. That was an absolute joke fest. But then you go up against Kansas City, you get an early lead, you're out 14-0. You make no adjustments. You can't do anything in the second half. And then that was the result that you saw against the Vikings with 2 weeks to be able to prepare. I want a head coach that can make adjustments. I want a head coach that understands what is happening when it's in front of him. And I think Antonio Pierce is a great dude. And I know the nation's rooting for him, but man, I don't know. Also, Jacobs, they're actually listing his injury as a quad injury. So it was originally believed to be a knee injury. They're listing it as a quad. So you might have to change that in one of the graphics there with Jacobs. And coming up here on the show, we're going to get into some Justin Herbert injury news. We're going to get you the latest on Jacobs, the Crosby injury update that y'all have probably been waiting for. One change that the Raiders need to make ASAP Rocky. And then the Raiders' playoff chances. So that's all going to be coming up here on today's show. And I'm rocking my Hanukkah sweater today for Chugs. They're also going to be a presenting sponsor here in just a second. 50-50 time. Oh, boy. This race just got very interesting. Patrick B, you in. Patrick B, you in. And then Brian Folsom. Brian wants 4 entries. So that puts us at 14, which means right now $10 to win 70. 10 to win $70. I think that's pretty good. 10 to win 70, 50-50 raffle at Mitchell Renz 365. And we're going to do that at the very, very end of today's show. You all right? No, sorry, I thought you were trying to get someone. Oh, let me get a sip of water, and we'll get this thing going. All right. And then we'll go watch a little Monday Night Football. How's that sound? That sounds like a pretty, So, you're going to have to explain that. I don't know what it means, though. I remember we played the Dreidel game last year. 100. All right, we'll explain it, because if you're not on screen, I don't think it makes sense. Maybe. We'll see. What's the last day of Hanukkah? Saturday's the last day of Hanukkah. You know what? You got the dreidel. We got our Hanukkah outfits on. I'm going to have Jeremy explain what he just explained to me, and we'll do it if you guys want to. Dude, if we did it on... No, I'd rather do it today. We have our Hanukkah outfits on today. All right, so, Jeremy, hop on the mic real quick. Get on screen. And you guys are going to vote. That's what the Raiders Report's about here. It's about you guys getting the final say. Jeremy's going to offer you a deal. And you get to pick what you want to do with that deal.
All right. So in the spirit of Hanukkah and the dreidel, I was thinking maybe we change it up from a 50-50 today. So I'm thinking if I land on this one right here, Gimel. If I land on that, the winner gets 90% of the pot.
Okay.
If I land on this one, hey, the winner gets 70% of the pot.
Okay.
If I land on this one, the winner gets 50% of the pot.
Okay.
Oh, wait. No, this one.
Yeah.
50% of the pot?
50%, yeah.
And then if I land on this one, the winner only gets 25% of the pot. So you have a chance to get more money into the pot.
So what do they represent, I guess is my question.
So it's basically just a game that you play.
Okay.
And it's a betting game. And the Gimel, it's like poker where everybody puts a bet in.
Okay.
And Gimel means you get everything in the pot.
Well, then that's, how about, so it's what? I think we did it last year, 100, 75, 50, 25. Let's just do that. That's fine. If they want to. I mean, their odds, they probably should vote yes. However, if it lands on only 25, then we have an issue. Patrick B says nah. Fair enough. If Patrick B doesn't want it, now I see people screaming, fire Antonio Pierce. All right, this is just getting out of hand. See what you did? You put a dreidel on screen, and now people are saying, let's get him out of here. All right, we'll just keep it at 50-50.
Okay, I like that. Pigs said the winner of the race should have the option of the roll. So whoever wins, you can either get 50%, or if you want to test your luck, and roll.
Hey, in the spirit of Hanukkah, if that's what they want, I like it. I think it's fine.
I like that. The winner can pick.
Okay.
Either spin for 2 chances at a higher rate, or you just keep the 50-50.
Okay, I like it. I like it. We did just get another super chat from JT Douglas, so let's go to that one. Can we please just keep Dylan Parham at center? I mean, here's the thing. Andre James is a better center than Dylan Parham, and it's just the cold, hard fact. Like, if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I would have bet money on Dylan Parham being better than Andre James, but that's how good Andre James has kind of been over the past 2 seasons. Parham, to me, the reason why he was drafted was to put him at center. But, like, here's the thing. With all the players that McDaniels and Ziegler brought in over the last 2 years, like, their jobs aren't guaranteed. I do think Parham's going to end up being a starting player on this offensive line because Andre James is a free agent. Greg Van Roten's a free agent. Jermaine Illuminor is a free agent. So, like, they're going to have some tough decisions to make with Colton Miller being injured. Parham's been your worst offensive lineman this season, and I don't really think it's all that debatable in terms of your starters at guard. He did look better at center, though. I will admit he did look better at center.
I did see this hashtag Raiders question, and I thought it was a good one. I wanted to go to it before our next segment.
Mm-hmm.
Out of these 3 guys, who has the best chance to be the head coach? Ben Johnson, the OC for the Lions.
Okay.
Brian Johnson, the OC for the Eagles.
Okay.
Or Brian Callahan, all beat names. Brian Callahan, the OC for the Bengals.
I'll probably say Ben Johnson probably has the best chance to be a head coach. I'm not saying he has the best chance to be our head coach, but like all these offenses are very different. Like Ben Johnson's offense to me is more predicated on like West Coast style, more predicated on like play action, I guess, base. Brian Johnson, if the Raiders were to draft a guy like Jaden Daniels, I think Brian Johnson would be really, really good with him. And then Brian Callahan, I would want like Drake May, a Caleb Williams, more of like a spread style of offense. I mean, they're all pretty different.
Yeah.
But I would say Ben Johnson, Brian Johnson, and then Brian Callahan in that order. Though this is probably the best year that Callahan has of being able to prove that he's the right man for the job because most of the time people are probably like, he's got Joe Burrow. If he can still get it done without Burrow and maybe even without Browning. Browning's been playing well.
Great.
Browning's honestly been playing pretty darn well. So we'll see. But to me, I would say Ben Johnson. I like the question, though, Paul. All right, guys. Coming up here next on the Raiders Report, we're going to get into all the latest news that happened today around the Raiders, around Thursday Night Football, Herbert. We'll kind of get into all that good stuff. You ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready to get this thing going. Coming up right now, the latest news, rumors around the Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? Hopefully you like my outfit today because they're our sponsor. Shout out to Marine later. Coming up here on the show, Justin Herbert injury news. Is he going to be playing against the Raiders on Thursday Night Football? What's the latest on Josh Jacobs? What's the latest on Maxx Crosby? One change that the Las Vegas Raiders need to make right freaking now. And then I'm going to tell you some numbers about the Raiders' playoff chances. They're going to be like, holy shit. So you're telling me there's a chance. So Justin Herbert, this news broke bright and early on Monday around the Chargers quarterback, and the report is that Herbert is not expected to play against the Silver and Black on Thursday Night Football. He fractured his right finger on Sunday during their loss, and if you're the Chargers, you're sitting there at 5-8, kind of just like where the Raiders are at. You're not going to risk anything to your franchise quarterback in Herbert. So it's unknown how much time that he's going to miss. He's going to go visit multiple doctors out there, but the reason why that this is a big-time story is because the Raiders, if they have any chance of making the playoffs, they have to win their next 4 games. You have to. It's the only way you're getting in. And with no Herbert, it means their job gets a little bit easier because the expected starter is going to be Easton Stick. So Easton Stick against Aidan O'Connell on Thursday Night Football. Stick against the Denver Broncos last week was 13-24 for 179 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, is not a good quarterback at all. But both of these teams, division rivals, both teams sitting at 5-8. If you want to join us for our Week 15 watch party here on the Raiders Report, I want you to click that subscribe button right now, and I want you to turn on those notifications. Also, we are going to be giving away a signed Davante Adams jersey by Tay himself. It is a beautiful jersey. The only way that you're going to win is if you subscribe and if you join us on Thursday Night Football for a chance to win a Davante Adams jersey. So if you're like, Mitch, I don't want to watch the Raiders and Chargers. I don't want to watch Easton Stick and Aidan O'Connell. I mean, I would imagine you'd want a chance to win a Davante Adams jersey. It sounds like an awesome Hanukkah gift. Sounds like an awesome Christmas gift. The holidays here at the Raiders Sport, we're trying to do our best here to give back. All right, let's get now to the latest here around Josh Jacobs. In the moment that we are recording this video on Monday, the injury report was just released, and Jacobs is dealing with a quad injury. It was actually originally believed to be a knee injury, and he is questionable to play against the Chargers. So when the Raiders released their injury report, nobody practiced on Monday. It's more of a guess, if you will. And Josh Jacobs, amongst others like Maxx Crosby, Andre James, Colton Miller, and Kanai Malga were all listed as that they weren't going to be able to participate on Monday. The report is that, and the reason why I think this is interesting, because originally when it was believed to be a knee, everyone was like, oh crap, I don't know if he's going to play. Josina Anderson reported on Monday that the Raiders are not going to sign or promote a running back from the practice squad, which kind of made me believe, like, all right, I think Jacobs might actually have a shot to play. However, I want to know what you guys have to say. Yes or no, will Josh Jacobs play against the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday Night Football? Like, do you risk playing Jacobs? Like, do you risk putting him out there? For me personally, I would say, called in the air, well, it's either heads, it's either tails, two just win babies on whether or not Jacobs is going to be able to go against the Chargers. And based on that report from Josina Anderson, it makes me more confident that Jacobs could play. I also wouldn't blame Jacobs for wanting to sit out because he's going to be a free agent this offseason, and we know that Jacobs is not going to be coming back to the Raiders, and nor should the Raiders really want Jacobs back. Like, I'm not going to pay him $14 million on the franchise tag, and he wants a long-term deal. And when you actually watch Jacobs run, I mean, he has clearly lost the step. He is nowhere near where he was last season. So because of all those reasons, you know Jacobs isn't going to be back. He wants to test the free agent market on a short week. I don't know if I agree with the idea of not promoting a running back, but I do agree with the idea of why would you go out and sign any of these free agent running backs? Because as it stands right now, and again, there's more free agent backs out there, but to me, these are your top guys. And the only name that I would even consider bringing in from these names is probably James Robinson, who was just cut a few weeks ago. Like, Mark Ingram's clearly not in football shape. He's concentrating now on being an analyst. Ronald Jones stinks. Duke Johnson, J.D. McKissick, Darrell Williams, they're more pass-catching backs. Tevin Coleman can never stay healthy. And then Caleb Huntley, I'm just good on all these players. However, though, if Jacobs is unable to play, I just don't understand how the Raiders don't promote Sincere McCormick. Like, I think Sincere McCormick is a better running back than Zamir White. Zamir White, I watched him last season. I watched him this season. He's not any good at football. What's crazy is, though, he's your best running back between the tackles because they're not going to feed Amir Abdullah 5-10 carries between the tackles. He's just too small of a back. Yes, he's got that relationship with Kennedy Polamalu. He's just your pass-catching back. You have your fullback in Jakob Johnson, who is more of just your run blocker out there. And then you got Brandon Bolden. Y'all know what I think of Brandon Bolden. The fact that Bolden is on an NFL team in the year 2023 is absolutely ludicrous to me. So, like, why would you promote Sincere McCormick? Why wouldn't you try to give your team the best chance to win if Jacobs can't go out there? Because Zamir this season, 20 carries, 54 yards. He's averaging 2.7 yards per carry, and that's not even my biggest knock on him. The fumbles. Like, Zamir White has a severe fumbling problem. Yeah, that's one fumble loss, by the way. Like, Zamir's inability to run, it kind of reminds me of Hunter Renfrow anymore, and I was talking about it today in the studio with the guys where anytime Hunter Renfrow catches the football anymore, and I'm telling you this, Hunter Renfrow will not be a Raider next season. They're going to cut him. When he's running the ball like this, that's how Zamir White runs. Like, if your running back's not confident enough to run the ball with one arm, he should not be a starting running back in the NFL. So if Jacobs can't go, God, I hope that report by Josina Anderson was wrong and that they end up promoting Sincere McCormick because, sincerely, Brandon Bolden stinks. Zamir White stinks. The Raiders running back room without Jacobs, it stinks. Coming up next here on the show, an update around Maxx Crosby from Mad Max himself. We're going to break it down. We're going to tell you everything that you need to know about number 98 and kind of where he is currently at in his overall health with his knee. But a huge, huge shout out to today's sponsor, Marine Layer. And anytime during the holidays, it's always difficult shopping for people. And a lot of times when it comes to clothing items, I say, hey, babe, what do you want me to wear? And if she likes it, I'm probably going to like it as well. So for everybody that's watching right now, shout out to Marine Layer for sponsoring today's show. It's official that I have found the softest t-shirt mankind has ever made. Marine Layer is the go-to brand for great fitting and stylish closet staples. Based out of California, Marine Layer clothes are the perfect mix of laid-back style that also looks and feels premium. So I think we can all admit that the perfect tee can be hard to find. Look no further than Marine Layer. And for a limited time, 15% off at marinelayer.com/chatsports. That's 15% off your entire order at marinelayer.com/chatsports. Saving your closet one shirt at a time. And if anybody out there is like, Mitch, I thought you were just rocking the shirt with Jeremy for Hanukkah, which I partly am, but I also love this shirt. And this is a shirt that my fiance Alex has been begging me to get. And finally, with Marine Layer, now we have the ability to do it. That wasn't Alex. That was actually Jeremy. But Mitch, I am rocking the shirt, which if you guys are wondering, yeah, we can go back to it real quick. The Conrad sweater polo in oatmeal blue stripe. I like shirts like this because this is honestly the type of clothes that I wear when I'm not on the show. Believe it or not, I don't always wear Raiders jerseys backwards. So I like this one because it matches my eyes. And one of the reasons why I wanted to get it is because at the time when I first got this shirt, I had a mustache, for those that don't know. And on their website, they had this guy. And I was like, all right, if I have a mustache and he's rocking it as well, I think I'm going to look pretty good in it. Bottom line is this. I know how difficult it is to go out there and find. And the shirt that Jeremy actually has from Marine Layer that he loves is this one. So you can go with Jeremy's selection. You can go with mine. Bottom line, if you want to go, you can go down in the comments. You go down in the description, marinelayer.com/chatsports for 15% off your entire order. All right, let's go now to the Maxx Crosby injury news here that I know all of y'all want. So Crosby on his podcast was talking about his knee, how it was feeling. I know it's been reported out there that the Raiders are kind of looking at potentially shutting him down with a lot of the knee injuries that he had. And this is what he had to say on his podcast. This was before the Vikings game. My knee is doing the best it's been. It's been a battle. This is not something that is new, but obviously it was at a different level with the infection and everything. But it's something I've been dealing with all season. So I got to take a lot of time to just take care of my body, get in the weight room, and take steps forward. It's all about gaining ground, and that's exactly what I did all week. I can't wait to get back in the building and get to work. We know Maxx Crosby is built different. He's having himself a hell of a season. 76 tackles, 13.5 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. I mean, the dude is one of the best defensive players in the National Football League, and I kind of wish he would get more recognition. And I know if he was on a better team, he would get more recognition for everything that he does on the field. And yes, he's also the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. But here's the thing with Maxx Crosby before the Vikings game. He says, if I got a heartbeat in terms of is he going to be playing, whether or not, I know Mad Max wants to go out there the next 4 games. And I don't care if the Raiders' playoff percentage chances are 0. If Max says, hey, I'm 100% healthy, I'm good to go, then he's going to want to go out there and he's going to want to compete. I also know Max doesn't want to just be good. He doesn't want to just be great. When you get a tattoo of Muhammad Ali, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, man, like you're trying to be a legend. And Max wants to be a legend here for the Silver and Black, and obviously he's trending in the right direction, but he has an opportunity to break a record. And he has an opportunity right now with 13.5 sacks, 4 games left. Derek Burgess set the all-time Raiders record single-season sacks, 16 back in 2005. Sean Jones, 15.5. Khalil Mack at 15. I'll tell you this right now. I am a big-time believer that Crosby is going to break this record. But here's my question. You got 4 games. You're going up against Easton Stick, Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew, Russell Wilson. Those are your 4 quarterbacks, final 4 games. How many sacks will Maxx Crosby finish the season with? And shout out to the people that watch this show in the offseason, because my answer on this question in the offseason, I even made a video on it on some predictions out there. I said that Crosby is going to break the Raiders' single-season record for most sacks in a season. I said 17. That's what I'm going to stick with. I'm not going to switch it up now. To me, Crosby is going to get at least one sack every single game for the remainder. And maybe he gets a half a sack somewhere in there. So I'm telling y'all right now, Crosby wants to be a legend. And we know he's going to be a legend for a long time. Those are all the reasons why I do think he ends up sticking it out and he continues to play the rest of the season. Coming up here, the one thing that the Raiders have to do. Like, there is one thing that the Raiders have to do right now, that the Raiders have to do as soon as humanly possible. And I was putting this into the show, and then I saw a tweet, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to show some love to my guy Graff, because I could not agree with him more. To me, you either got to give Turner or Edgar Bennett the keys to the offense these next 4 games. It's worth a shot. It is clear that Bo Hardegree has no idea what the F he is doing. The offense has been bad. I mean, I've been covering the Raiders for a long time. I think the worst game I ever covered live was when the Raiders lost 24-0 to the Saints, when Derek Carr couldn't get the offense to midfield. Yesterday, watching that Vikings game was the second worst offensive game I have ever seen. The Raiders can make no adjustments in the second half. The Raiders have been able to not make any strides in terms of, do you have confidence in this offense going forward? Bo Hardegree comes from the same tree as Josh McDaniels. I get it, the fact that they've thrown away 75% of Josh McDaniels' playbook, and they're trying to do something so difficult, which is implement a new offense in the middle of the season. I get it. But the Bo Hardegree offense is worse than the Josh McDaniels offense. Like, it is. The Raiders' offense this season with McDaniels averaged 15.8 points per game. The Raiders' offense this season with Bo Hardegree is averaging 15.2 points per game. I know that the Raiders have gone up against tough defenses. Minnesota's got a good defense. The Dolphins at home, tough defense, especially with Jalen Ramsey. The Chiefs this season, good defense. The New York Jets, maybe the best defense in the NFL. I know the defenses have been more tough. But we've seen Bo Hardegree and Aidan O'Connell now for 5 games. It's not working. If you want to really make a change, that's the change I'm making. I'm saying, Bo, it's time to go skip rocks somewhere else. So Mark Davis, he met with Antonio Pierce. I know he's mad. And Devontae Adams, he's mad yet again. He left the game, or not the game, he left the locker room early after the Raiders' 3-0 loss right before the media spoke. When that type of shit starts happening, changes need to go. You can't just continue to say, oh, we're going to prepare, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. I think Antonio Pierce was very frustrated at his press conference today for obvious reasons. However, though, you had your opportunity, Bo. At this point, if you moved on from McDaniels, let's just keep moving on, because Bo Hardegree, I'm sorry, he ain't it. Coming up next here on the show, and this is the last one for today, the Raiders' playoff chances. And I know some of y'all are going to roll your eyes. Hell, I'm rolling my eyes just thinking about that I'm talking about this. But I do have to bring it up because a lot of people out there say, oh, we're not going to make it. We have a 0% chance to make it. The game that was the least important game out of your final 5 was the Minnesota Vikings game. And because the way that certain games went yesterday, I mean, if I told you right now that the Raiders can still control their own destiny, it's a crazy thing. I understand that. And if the Raiders beat the Chargers, beat the Chiefs, beat the Colts, and if they beat the Broncos, you have to win your next 4 games. If you do that, based on the New York Times, the Raiders have a 51% chance to make the playoffs. Now, if you lose a single game, if you lose one more game for the rest of the season, your playoff chances go to 0. You will not make the playoffs. You're not going to get in. So you got to win your next 4. Do I think that that's going to happen? No. Of course I don't think that that's going to happen. Do I kind of hope that it does? Yeah, I still want the Raiders to make the playoffs. Like, to me, I'm at the point in the season where I want Las Vegas to either win their next 4 games or lose their next 4 games so we can get a better draft pick. I don't want any kind of in between. Nothing at all. But as it stands right now, this is what the Raiders' AFC playoff picture is before Monday Night Football. That's very important to note. The Baltimore Ravens are at 10-3. Miami Dolphins at 9-3. Again, they play on Monday night tonight. Chiefs are 8-5. Jags are 8-5. But the teams that are in the hunt, Browns 8-5. The Steelers at 7-6. They're in a really bad spot with their quarterback. Indianapolis 7-6. Raiders still play them. Houston, C.J. Stroud's in the concussion protocol. Denver, Cincy, Buffalo, all 7-6. Like, I understand that the chances aren't high, but there is a lot of crazy shit that can happen with this AFC playoff picture. And if the Raiders are able to win their next 4 games and finish the season at 9-8, they have a 51% chance of making the playoffs. Now, when you look at the overall NFL records here, it's not 100% right. The Chargers are 5-8. The Chiefs are 8-5. The Colts are 7-6, and the Broncos are 7-6. So with the Raiders' remaining schedule, they will be the underdog, I would imagine, probably in every game going forward. Though they might actually not be the underdog in the Chargers game because Easton Stick is expected to start in that game, which the over-under in that one, bro, it's going to be like 37. It might even be less than that. It might be the lowest over-under we've seen all season. It might be 32 points or something like that. I don't blame Vegas for doing it. But the Raiders got to win these next 4 games if they want any shot at getting in. So here's your opportunity. How many games do you think the Las Vegas Raiders win? Let me know down in the comments section. I'm going to say that I do think that Las Vegas squeaks out one more game, and maybe it's the game against the Chargers because Easton Stick is starting. But as I said earlier, I want the Raiders to either win their next 4 to go 9-8, or I want the Raiders to lose their next 4, go 5-12, and get a better draft pick. If you were to ask me to bet my house, to put some money down on it, I would say at best, the Raiders are going to win 6 games this season. At best, they will win one more game. I don't see how in hell they can beat Kansas City. The way the Broncos have been playing, I don't even think they're going to beat the Broncos. The Colts are always a tough game for the Raiders. Your only chance to win a game for the remainder of the season, in my personal opinion, is against the Chargers. And it pains me to say that. I hate saying that kind of stuff. But I do try to be real with all y'all. Before I end today's news and rumors, for those of you that are watching this live, you'll know that I already covered this around the Raiders signing DJ Fluker to help build a little bit extra depth there to the offensive line, offensive tackle, offensive guard, can play multiple position, former first-round pick out of Alabama back in the 2013 draft. To make sure you never miss anything going on around the silver and black, follow me on IG, follow me on Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. All right, Chugs, man. We got 452 people watching, 283 likes. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. How many games will the Raiders win this season? I'm going to take this off. I'm going to go put on a jersey, and then we'll do the duck race here. Sound good?
Yeah, you are. Take it off. Oh, yeah. Let me see. How many games do you think the Raiders are going to win this season? I mean, I hope if they do win one game, selfishly, I hope it's against the Broncos. Just to keep that streak going that the Broncos have never beaten the Raiders since they moved to Las Vegas. December 29th, 2019. Just selfishly, I hope it's the Broncos.
Oh, boy. JT Douglas, how many games do you think the Raiders will win this season? Somebody said 0. I mean, they already have 5, so I'll tell you that's not going to be right.
Marsh.
Tadashi says 7. James says 7.
The Giants are somewhat in a similar situation to the Raiders in purgatory where they have around a 1 less than 1% chance to win.
You're selling us short, man. We're going to win out and go to the playoffs.
Yeah?
Yep. Starts tonight, Monday Night Football. Put your mortgage on the Giants winning money line. Don't even want the points. Money line.
If DeVito wins 2 more games, what do you do with him?
You give him a max contract and he's your franchise quarterback.
Very similar to the Daniel Jones deal.
Yeah, better. All guaranteed.
Yep.
No opt-out.
All guaranteed and free chicken cutlets for life.
Rename the stadium Chicken Cutlets Tommy. Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe they get a new turf so not everybody gets freaking injured.
Yeah, true. Adrian Flores, you in. The Cutlets. Adrian Flores, you in. All right, Chugs. I'm going to send you the names here.
Send it.
Final call to get in.
Final call.
You put the Venmo up?
Final call for the Venmo. Putting it up.
Final call here. We got 15 people in the race. If you want in, $10 Venmo.
Petey, get in.
At Mitchell Renz.
Petey, go ahead and get in. You know you want to in this race.
Mitchell Renz 365 if you want a chance to get in.
Petey.
I don't know if Petey's going to get in.
Petey, are you getting in? I don't know. He just gave me a smirk like he's trying to get in.
He might.
I've seen him give that smirk before, not to me, but to his girl.
Oh,
the only time I've seen that smirk.
Or to Cruz.
I
saw Cruz the other day actually on a walk. Very cute dog.
Did you sneak up behind him like you normally do?
No. I can't sneak up on a dog. Nor was I going to sneak up on Petey's girlfriend. That's a lawsuit.
Oh, it was
yeah.
I thought it was Petey.
No, she saw me. And then I was like, oh shit, that's Shay. All right, Rashissimo. Yesterday's game was so frustrating. Finally, the defense balls out, and the offense couldn't score a point. I think I'd be more frustrated if they did score a point. Imagine if they would have got a safety. The Lows 3-2. I think I would have been more angry if they would have lost 3-2 than 3-0.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched. I felt bad. I felt my dad when I got this morning when I called him. He's like, I can't believe you watched that whole game.
The only reason it's better than the Saints game is because it was actually a close game.
True. All right, we got a few more people that are getting in this thing.
Yeah.
Blaine.
Oh, he's in.
Craig.
Marshall's trying to get in.
Aaron.
Marshall, you getting in the race?
In.
50-50. $10 to enter. Rebel, are you in the chat?
Alex Martinez, you in.
Rebel, are you in the chat? Marshall wants to 1v1 you one more time if you're still in the chat.
I don't know if he wants that smoke. Dude, I don't know. We'll see.
Marsh said 20 right now, Rebel. 1v1 me. Winner takes all. Who wants to see Marshall versus Rebel?
Here's the thing, though. If Marshall wins, then we'd have to do another because then it'd be best of 3.
Rebel said 10 and I'm in. You down? Okay. Rebel, send it in. I'll get it set up.
All right, let's first do this one. And
I say we first do the other one.
Why?
Just the lead up to it.
The lead up to it? The lead up race?
Yeah, like the prelim.
Okay. Chris, you in. All right, so now we got 19 people in. So, Rebel, if you want in, send me your 10. I just got 10 from Marshall Green, and the message says F Rebel.
F Rebel, baby. Let's go.
We'll see.
Let's go.
All right, Rebel. Send in the 10 for a chance to get in.
He's so scared.
I mean, he beat you last time.
I know. Odds are inside. Might have been rigged.
All right, Marshall has already sent in 10. He's in.
We're going a minute long?
Yeah, oh yeah. All right. Is Rebel in?
Marshall Dad is in. F Marsh.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Marshall's dad is in.
All right.
Here we go.
M for Marshall, R for Rebel. Who you got?
All right. Winner gets $20. Winner take all.
Yep.
Winner take all. Don't spend it all in one place, Rebel. Don't spend it all in one place.
All right, here we go. Starting in 3.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
We're pogo sticking.
In
We're
3,
pogo sticking.
2,
There's only 1 foot on.
1. Oh, wait. Let me shuffle it.
Whoa, what is going on?
All right, here we go.
Oh, my Marshall. Ah.
Okay.
All right, 3,
I kind of like who I got right
2,
now. I kinda like who I
1,
got.
go!
All right, we're off to a start here. Marshall's dad. If you remember the last race,
Coast to coast.
Marshall's dad led the entire race last time, and right now is out to a lead. Oh, he's starting to pull away. He's starting to pull away. Come on, Marshall's dad. Come on, Rebel.
Oh,
Mr. Green is starting to fall back a little bit.
Oh, no.
This might turn into a blowout.
Oh, no.
Marshall's dead.
0 for 2.
Come on, Rebel.
0 for 2?
Mr. Green, I don't know.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Wait.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
This is getting close. Come on, Marshall's dead.
Go!
Come on, Rebel.
Go!
Come on, Rebel. What happened to Rebel? Wait. Come back. Come on, Rebel. Come on, Rebel. Come on, Rebel. I thought he had it. I really thought he had it.
Let's go, Rebel. Go home, Rebel.
Oh, congrats.
Double or nothing. I'm in. Double or nothing. Double or nothing. No, double or nothing.
Well, you got to send it back to me again.
My phone's out there. Only if Rebel's in.
I'll tell you what.
That was the best.
Rebel says series tied 1-1. I'm not going to lie. That was the best.
I thought he had it on the comeback.
That was the best thing that I've done on this show. It was the best thing I've done on this show in the last 24 hours. That I can promise you. At least somebody crossed the goal line. Holy shit. I was happy. Mario Moreno wants in the next duck race, so. All right. Rebel. All right, Rebel says next stream. Rebel, you got it. Next stream, we're going to settle at 1v1. Yeah, Marsha's going to go live tonight. I mean, one of the things that we're going to do, and I'm just going to tell you all right now, it's going to be a chance to win a substantial amount of money. When March happens, Jeremy and I are going to do a 1v1 March Madness style of bracketology for duck races. And if you get in and you win it all, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to pay rent. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a massive one. It's going to be a good time. I have 20. So the two, I did not. The last two are Chris and Mario. I'll send you the names. Sorry. I had to keep track for me. So right now, the winner would get $100. $10 Venmo. Mitchell Renz 365. I think it blew out my voice. To win, I know. And to win $100. Final call to get in. Dude, the 1v1 races are so much fun. The 1v1 races are so much fun. Also, shout out to Rebel for being a good sport. Though, when you really think about it, Rebel's still the winner because their first race they did was for 20. So Rebel won 40. So technically, Rebel's still in the lead if you look at the money. Wait. We got another one. I know. But for Fat Bearded Dad, it's okay. Fat Bearded Dad, you in. And then that's the final one. Winner gets 105 doll hairs. We'll see. We'll see what they decide to do with the dreidel. All right. Here we go. This race starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going. Winner gets $105. Good luck to all y'all. Luis Rodriguez out to an early lead with number 5 on his back. All right, fair enough. I see you working there. Sergio Torres starting to fall back here a little bit. Watch out for Adrian Flores pulling up here to the scene. Kobe. Don't sleep on Kobe. Brian Folsom's got 4 Santas in this race. He is the odds-on favorite to win. And right now, Mr. Brian Folsom might be in the lead of this one. Watch out for Martinez starting to fall back a little bit. Just Win Baby was the very first person to get in this race. Brian Folsom here at the bottom. Patrick B. right there in the middle of the pack. Watch out for, oh, they're starting to fall back. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened. Brian Folsom in the lead. 10 seconds to go. This winner gets $105. This race is going to come down to the finals. Alex Martinez. It looks like it's going to be Alex Martinez. Really good effort there, though, by James Guevara at the very, very end. It's a hell of an effort. Hell of an effort. So, Alex Martinez, here's my question to you. Because it's the holidays, because Jeremy wants to spin the dreidel, you have an option here. You can either keep $105, okay? Or spin the dreidel. You want to pop up on screen and explain it to him? I'll let you pick, Alex. And if you're not here, you're not here. And you're going to get it. So, because it's Hanukkah.
So, you have a chance. And you know what? I was going to modify it.
Rashissimo won. Perfect.
I was going to modify it. I think we go classic dreidel rules, if that's okay with you. It's a Monday, real ones.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier.
We'll do it the classic dreidel rules. If it lands on this, you get the entire pot.
So that would be 210.
210. If it lands on the green, you get nothing. If it lands on the hay, you get 50% of the pot.
So 105.
And then if it lands on this, you get a fourth.
So that's
$55.
For math's sake, I'll
60.
I'll just give you 60 for math's sake.
So, do you want to risk it with a chance to double your money, or do you let it go?
So you either get 0, 60, 105, or 210. What do you want, Rashissimo? You're either gonna go home with a guaranteed 105, or
My last question.
you can risk it.
Deal or no deal?
It's up to you. Run it, Rashissimo! All right, so the way that we got to do it is the way that we used to do dice game with the camera flip. So that way nobody thinks it's rigged.
All right.
So
I'll clear my spot right here.
I think what I'm going to do, guys, is you're not going to see me on screen. I actually
wait.
I think that you should go
I think we
screen.
do. I think we do this. Wait.
Oh, you're going to come over here?
No. I think we go.
I think
we
go full screen.
We go this.
Oh, yeah, I like this. Though the names are.
Yeah. I have to switch it to the Raiders.
Okay. All right. Rashissimo, just so you know that you're not getting ripped off here, we're gonna change the camera angles here a little bit. I'm in the abyss. I think it's fine. We're gonna.
It's okay.
Do you want me to angle your camera? Or you're gonna do it.
I got it.
Oh, you can do it. All right, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Oh, dude, Rashissimo, I'm hyped. I'm glad he did this. All right, so again, you can either win.
I'll run it back one more time. So the green, you get everything.
So it doesn't look like green.
Or no, this is blue.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was gonna
The blue, you get everything.
So you get 210.
The green, you get nothing.
Nothing.
60, half. So 101. What was it? 105.
105.
So 105, 60.
We'll just give you 60.
Nothing.
Yep.
Everything. You want the Gimmel. We're hoping for Gimmel.
We're hoping for Gimmel.
So
everybody spam Gimmel.
You want the Gimmel.
Everybody spam Gimmel down in the chat. Come on, Rashissimo.
All right.
Also, it is officially official. Drake May is entering the 2024 NFL Draft. Officially official.
All right. I'm going to give you a good spin, too.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. All right, so you got to angle it down. Jeremy's used to working a dreidel like this. Oh, that was a terrible spin. I don't know what that is.
Half.
All right.
Oh. Yeah, that was a bad spin.
It was a bad spin. I mean, it is what it is. You gave up all your good spins earlier today.
Yeah, my hands were a little sweaty because money was on the line.
You're
I was
nervous.
like, I didn't want to shank it for you.
He was nervous.
Oh, better spin this time.
Let's see what this one is.
This is what my spins usually look like.
That's a better spin. Same thing.
Same thing.
All right. It doesn't matter.
We tried. We tried to give you everything.
All right, Rashissimo. I'm going to send 105 to you. Congrats. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like that. If we just did Hanukkah rules, I don't know. I mean, this is the thing, though. Like the pot's like 1,300 and then somebody loses it all. Like, Jesus.
I mean, it's like a deal or no deal.
I know, but I would feel awful. I don't know.
Or the pot's 1,300
And they
win it all. They win 2,600.
I hear you. Rashissimo, can you please confirm down below that you just received $105? That would be greatly appreciated. Congratulations to Rashissimo for winning a little bit of money. Had a lot of fun on today's show. Happy Hanukkah to Jeremy Chugs.
One more spin. Let's see what it lands on.
One more?
The third spin was the 25%.
Yeah, you get kicked in the shin. That sucks. Also, new update here on Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is very likely to undergo surgery Tuesday on his fractured right index finger per source. Whether Herbert will have any chance to be able to return this season will be determined by the surgery. That is according to Adam Schefter.
Which means probably not.
He's probably done. Probably means Justin Herbert is done for the remainder of the season. All right, y'all. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Next time you're going to see Jeremy Chugs and I is going to be tomorrow.
Abby, I like that.
What?
Abby said, let's do it on Thursday.
Okay.
But instead of none being no money, you just get your entry back.
Okay. I think that's fair. It's just, you guys got to, like, if you send in, like, multiple, you just got to tell me.
Well, no, you would just get one of your entries back.
Okay.
If you got that.
Yeah, all right.
Because if you have a chance to win everything, there has to be a risk to that reward.
Oh, I understand that. I get it.
Do we run it on Thursday? Why for yes and for no? And obviously, it'll be the winner's choice. They'll be able to pick whether they want to play or not.
I mean, Brian said run it throughout the entirety of Hanukkah. Silk made it, agreed with it. I'm seeing a lot of yeses in there as well. So, hey, this show's about what the nation wants. Always remember that. It's always about what the nation wants here. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here.
Rebel versus Marshall on Thursday? I don't think Marshall will be here on Thursday.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rebel, he's probably not going to be.
Do you have a game on Thursday?
I mean, we can't. The Raiders play.
You have a game on Thursday?
Tomorrow.
No? Yeah.
Tomorrow.
You can run it tomorrow.
Yeah, Thursday, unfortunately.
Well, I was just going to say, if he had a Knicks game, he would be.
Yeah, but I don't want to do it on a Raiders live. Like, there's a lot going on a Raiders live show. A lot going on. Tomorrow is fine from Rebel. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Live here on the Raiders Report. We're going to talk about Raiders preview. Got some other segments. Tomorrow is going to be 3 segments. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. If nothing else happens around the silver and black, that's when I'll see you. If breaking news happens, might go live here on the show. So, from me, from Jeremy Chugs, happy Hanukkah.